everyone. Welcome to the Comics Fu Show.
Hey everybody, I'm Kurtis Fujita. I'm a Kung Fu instructor. I'm the head instructor of Tiger Crane Kung Fu. I'm also a comic book artist and I've worked in video games, animation, things like that. I'm currently the creative director at Silverline Comics and the creator of the upcoming comic book Shadow Ghost, the Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master. So welcome everybody.
I'm Patrick Lugo, former art director at Kung Fu Tai Chi magazine.
All right, Kurtis, I wanna introduce you to someone special, our guest today. He's someone that I've worked with in the past. We've he's a stalwart member of the Kung Fu Wu Land, right? The Kung Fu Forest. So let me introduce to Jose Figueroa. Maybe you could give us and our vast audience of a handful, a little introduction of who you are, where you've been, and how you ended up here.
Well, my name is Jose Manuel Figueroa, originally from Santurce, Puerto Rico. Basically proud Boricua, been a part of just doing interesting work with Tai Chi, I guess. And I think my claim to fame has been really having a great teacher that came from China at a certain time that I was very interested and physically able to do Tai Chi. And in that process of learning this traditional discipline, I was able to contribute, along with my Kung Fu brother, Stefan Berwick, some really great information to help facilitate teaching Tai Chi in North America. And I think that's one of the things that I personally loved about the discipline itself is what it provided for me on all planes, but also what it was able to provide for young people in the public city schools of New York City. So that was one of the things that we did. We wrote a book called the Tai Chi for Kids. Tuttle Publications did a really wonderful illustrations, with the hardcover kind of booklet. And the goal was to get that into every public school in North America. But the physical aspect of doing that by yourself, not having enough people, it get daunting. But shout out to actually a company named Scan New York, the Supportive Children's Advocacy Network. They were like a not-for-profit that did work with special needs families and people that, needed help. And Lou Zuckerman was the executive director of the company. Renee Avery was my boss, and they just allowed and facilitated some really amazing things with Tai Chi. And it started with just Tai Chi, but then it became something bigger. And what we was doing in Harlem, it was bringing a collective of martial arts of all styles onto a stage filled with 600 kids, like screaming, because they're watching a lion dance, on stage. And we were introducing them to Chinese culture. There was capoeira, there was a little bit of everything. And Scan New York was behind all of that. Lou was one of the guys that facilitated that. And at one point, I even was able to bring in my Tai Chi, the Yang style master, Master Derek Trent. And I brought him with Master Ren Guang Yi, my Chen style master. And there was a big Tai Chi performance with both styles on stage. And it was really magical,
Right. But we kind of just jumped into the middle. I want to hear a little bit about the early Jose when he was just young. First, well, I'm sure you were watching Black Belt Theater like the two of us were when we were kids.
Absolutely. Actually, when I came from Puerto Rico, I was around 8 and something. And but my kids, I grew up in Puerto Rico with my grandmother. My brothers grew up in New York with my parents, and so I didn't really get to connect with my brothers until I was around 8ish or 12, or I can't even remember. But I know when I got to New York, I speak English. I spoke only Spanish. I didn't understand English. So it was a very culture shock for me. As I got further along, my brothers, embraced me and what have you. And I assimilated into Western culture. Cut to music. I'm listening to bomba plena, percussion music in Puerto Rico. And I hear this little bodega like around the corner in the neighborhood. And it turns out it's like a little candy shop. And my best friend at the time he became my best friend was a guy named Jojo Santiago, right? So basically, Jose Santiago, but his name is Jojo, nickname. And later he became the founder of the Rocksteady crew.
I just want to say that I'm very happy to see something like this. You know, where I come from, we didn't have these opportunities. You know, I did it in the streets where the cops were driving by and things were happening and you had to get out of the way. But I like the fact that you got this unity now. I was just feeling everything that was going on here. You're a very good teacher, man. You're good.
They here, rocking it.
What happened in the 70s is the dance itself was developing. You know, everything was very pure and organic.
We kind of took what we saw and we kind of like played with it and added a few more gymnastic moves and more acrobatic moves. The other inspiration was Kung Fu movies. Like every Saturday we go to 40 Doo-Wop, 42nd Street in Times Square, and we spend all day watching 6, 7 Kung Fu movies.
Sometimes we would imitate how they fought and kind of utilize those methods in the way we moved without dancing, but with a different kind of rhythm. And then there's also the idea of being Puerto Rican and utilizing the dance steps from salsa, mambo, and things like that that have a direct influence on us because we are Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, whatever.
And so we were like first generation Rocksteady crew B-boys. And he was my first mentor, you know, as part of that. And, you know, we went to this karate school called Davidson Community Center Karate School. And, you know, we had an interest in martial art and we had an interest in hip hop. And for me, that's always something that really always connected, really kind of linked up in a really cool way. And so JoJo, you know, cut into like present day, we ran into each other through a mutual friend, a guy named Warrington Hudman, who's a huge fan of martial art. He has something called the Fist and Sword series at the Museum of Moving Image, and he facilitated a reunion with myself and JoJo, and we did a presentation on the effects of hip hop and kung fu, both in cinema and Shin Ka, a friend of ours, he was a film guy, Asian brother from New York City. He came through. All the Rocksteady crew fellas came through. We showed the movie True Legend, and I'm gonna tell you, man, to have the Rocksteady crew guys watching that movie, and I've already seen the movie 100 times. But it was the perfect movie to show them because I'm a huge fan of Kung Fu and I'm a huge fan of hip hop. So in this movie, Jay Chow, right? There's a couple of characters that are doing it. He becomes a Tai Chi drunken master, the Sante monk, what have you, and he teaches some drunken style. And at the end of the film, David Carradine plays kind of this three-ring circus guy. And he has this group of wrestlers, Western wrestlers, fighting against this guy who later becomes, that monk. He's like, Wang Fei Hong, Feng Sai Yip, all those types of characters. And Donnie Yen played him as this particular character in Beggar Soul. So anyway, he's supposed to be this Beggar Soul. And in the middle of this fight, he breaks out and starts doing windmills, like breakdancing windmills. The audience reacted. You remember back in the days when we used to see Kung Fu movies, and it was that reaction. And they lost it. And Warrington was ecstatic about it because it's like, that's what we love about Kung Fu movies, if they can make you feel that. And, so True Legend was, it's a mixture of Five Deadly Venoms, meets this, had all these different layers and people who were fans. And but these B-boys, they were like old-timers B-boys, and they loved the hip-hop aspects of the film. And so did I. I loved that film for that reason. But that was an experience, and we documented it. It was JoJo and I, we reconnected. He brought his family. I had my family there. And Warrington is a patron of both cultures. We were able to really do some great work trying to cover, that history. But the hip hop always kind of worked its way into what later was my interest, which was the Chinese martial art, and I jumped around a little bit, so you feel free to pull me back in and let me know if you want to take it somewhere else.
Thank you, Patrick. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you, Chris.
Hello, I'm Sifu Kurtis Fujita with Tiger Crane Kung Fu. I just wanted to let everybody know that we do have an online program that we're utilizing, not just for our enrolled students that come to our physical location, but also for students who are in other states, other time zones, other countries. It's a unique program with multiple components that really help you learn Kung Fu and Tai Chi at home during the current health epidemic and beyond. So we have different components. The first part is, of course, the Zoom classes. We have online Zoom classes that meet throughout the week for Kung Fu and Tai Chi. We also have a unique thing which we call our rerun program. And what that means is we record the Zoom classes and we have an archive of dozens and dozens of videos for you to access at any time, anywhere, as long as you have an internet connection. So if you missed a class, you can go ahead and follow along and check it out. Or if you want to remember something that was mentioned in class, you can go back and watch the rerun. It's an archive for all enrolled members. Also, we have personal videos. And what I mean by that is if you film yourself doing an individual technique, you can send it to me and I'll be happy to shoot my own video with a response detailing specifically what you want to do to improve the exercise and do it most efficiently. And lastly, we even have a social club component. And what that essentially means is, you know, when you're at a gym or a martial arts studio, it's that sense of community, the ability to visit with your classmates, with your teacher after class to, you know, socialize. So we have a social club meeting. So once a week after class, we have a Zoom session and we talk for a little bit and catch up with each other and socialize. So these are all the different components that make our unique online Kung Fu program. If you're interested, feel free to reach me at my email address. It's instructor@tigercrane.net. Again, instructor@tigercrane.net. We would love to see you in our online studio. Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you, and take care.